Hi everyone, good morning, good evening. Hope you guys are doing good. This is Rao. Welcome back my another talk. Today we are talking about how we can build API ecosystem for our organization. Definitely this will help us a lot. Again, welcome to this presentation on integration AI driven analytics and API ecosystem in non-profit organizations. Let's explore how this framework combines advanced donor analytics with multi-platform data synchronization. We're going to talk about how we going to bring data from different social media platforms into your existing database. So let's say in today's world, there are a number of third party vendors who can provide their service to bring data from all the social channels like Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, and all other platforms because they have already predefined scripts, the programs, right? So they will provide the services. Is eventually it's our data, so they use our credentials and whatnot, right? And they're gonna charge yearly subscriptions to accommodate all the data needs. So today I wanted to explain and provide difference, right, to our third party tools and how you can uh, your own platform data using this approach to bring into your the databases, right? Yes, definitely there is a scripting is involved and there are the technologies which we need to accommodate this process which we am going to discuss today. But definitely this is maintenance free and we don't have to pay so many dollars on yearly basis, right? If it is a one time, so maybe we can consider it. But what we need to do, we're going to end up paying every year for the same subscription. So these solutions, what we are talking today, which will help us to bring your data into your database using these approaches. Assume that you have the different data flows. For instance, the data you're looking for the Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok, Meta, all the social platforms, right? The it's paid media or organic social media, right? Yeah. What we are going to do, if as you see my screen here, so we need login details, right? So we are going to build a script within the C sharp or Node.json, right? And then we'll prepare that API. And there are the two options we can accommodate to schedule that the script which or the API which we build, and that will bring the data and that convert into the CSV and they'll place it into the secured location based on the target location which we described in our the script, right? And then yes, okay, let's say there are a couple of scenarios, right? First, yes, we need the login details, the platform which you are going to access, right? And then we need to prepare the script with either C sharp or the Node.json with all that API details and endpoints and all those things which we are going to talk in a minute. And then we need to prepare the script and it will automatically download the data from the social platforms. It's not only social platform, like any platform if you wanted to bring, which is the API supported, right? Eventually, these solutions will work on that, right? And prepare that the API and if you wanted to go with the window scheduler, or if you wanted to go to AWS Lambda, right nowadays, like many people are using the AWS services, right? So it's again, it's not that expensive. If you wanted to go to the AWS Lambda, it's relatively very cheap for the subscription, right? For the scheduling. But if you don't want to, if you don't have like the AWS services, it's okay. But still, you can use the Windows scheduler, right, to trigger our jobs, and then we'll talk about how to set up the scheduler also. So then the schedule will run and that will pick up the API which you have that script, and that script will talk to their source and then bring the data and put it into the CSV location, right? And from CSV to the database, so you can use the AWS Lambda, or maybe you can use another mechanism to push to the database. Then from there, your BI analytics come into the picture, right? So now how this is going to work, right? Let's say this is what where we are going to talk a little bit details, right? Assume that as every API which has their own endpoints, and based on the KPI which we are looking for, so we need to make sure and go through that API documentation whether that is supported. Yep. If yes, then what are the pros and cons, how we need to get the data. So all these applications, they have really good API documentation. We just need to go through and get the data, right? For instance, we're talking about the like maybe Sprout Social, right? Sprout Social or the Meta ads. So they have the Sprout Social API and they'll provide that endpoints matrix, and there are some other parameters which we are talking here, right? It's let's say if you're looking for a customer ID or the topic ID, you need to go through that and get those details, and you can pass those information into your script, right? So before we implement the script, what I do normally, right, I use the postman to make sure how it is responding, how the data is coming, right? My numbers are matching with the source or not, right? So that is the tip I can provide you here, right? So before we move into the script, right? And similarly, let's say if you're looking at the meta ads, and yeah, metadata also has the really good API documentation, and they have some other parameters also. We talk meta app ID, meta page insight fields, meta page insight limit, and whatnot. And similarly, like if you're looking at the Google ads, so they have that API documentation and the endpoints, and the Bing ads. The Bing ads, I would say it's a little tricky, but it's not that complicated. So they have the really good documentation. So there are other parameters. Let's say if you see Google Ads, right? The client ID, client secret, and Google Ads token endpoint. So these are the other parameters which we need to consider, right? So once, let's say, if you wanted to bring entire universe from your social channel, or if you are looking for the specific metrics you wanted to bring into your reporting platform, right? So that's where we need to have that final the requirements, right? So if you wanted to bring the entire universe from the source systems, yes, you can absolutely consider that. And you need to prepare the script based on the KPIs we are looking for. So there are some key points which we need to consider, right? So how many KPIs we are bringing, and if that KPI which we are looking for is supported by that API or not. So that is the first thing we need to do, right? There are some KPIs which these platforms may not support, but what we need to do in that case, we need to raise a support ticket to the source platform team, and they will provide those details. But if as long as if that KPI is exist and supported by the API, so you have that credential in the API endpoints, right? You can go ahead and build it. Other thing what we need to consider is like the paginations, right? So we need to make sure the paginations is rightly set up, right? Then the other important point is a majority of the social platforms, so based on my observation, the mostly refresh on around 9 after 9 a.m. EST, right? Like maybe if you schedule the scheduler before 9 o'clock, 9 a.m. EST, so you may not see up to date data. And again, right, this is based on the documentation and my experience. Maybe if you have the different needs on that scheduling, how fresh data you are looking for, I recommend you to go through the documentation and set your scheduling accordingly, right? The same approach will applicable for all other the platforms, being it's a TikTok or a link or the Twitter, right? Only thing on the Twitter side, for the Twitter, we need to focus on that. If you have the requirement to bring the sentiment from the X platform, so you need to make sure whether that X platform is support the sentiment or not. Yeah. These are the findings I would like to share while you are connecting with the API. So then once we build the so what we need to do, we need to prepare the Windows scheduler to bring the data on schedule basis, right? Because like no, we don't want to do the manually every day, right? So that's when the scheduler will help us. It is a Windows inbuilt the tool, and many people using it, but it's pretty straightforward to set up the Windows scheduler. So you will gonna find the Windows scheduler, but only thing is that you should have the admin privileges to utilize the scheduler, the features, right? So open the Windows scheduler from your start program, and you need to create the task and look for the the script which or the API which we develop to bring the data. For instance, right, like the Facebook, right? If we prepare that API using the mechanism which we talked before, and place it into your C drive or D drive wherever you wanted to utilize that program automatically. And the same mission, like use the Windows scheduler, open the Windows scheduler and go to the task and create the just give a name, and you need to set up a few things there, like browse that file of the API which we created the Facebook, for instance, right, and look for that, and the set the refresh timing and they give the target. Let's say if you wanted to bring it to the article or Amazon Red, so create the same structure how you have in your file, so that way this file, the Windows scheduler will refresh and load the data into the same target file. So you need to make sure you define the target file as well. So only thing we need to consider here is when you are creating the target file, make sure data types and the sequence, all that in the same as your in your script. So then when you set up the Windows scheduler, make sure run 2-3 test runs with small amount of data, and that's it, right? Once you have the scheduler runs and create the target file, it will go and load into the table. I just wanted to repeat one more time. Just first thing, we need to have the valid user login details. And the second thing, we need to make sure what keys we are targeting to bring into your the database. And the third thing is that KPIs are supported by API or not, right? That is another thing which we need to do it. So once we pass all these things, the next thing is try to work on the postman. So that way, if everything is working fine, or if you see any hiccups and all and whatnot, then you need to create that other package, what we call it as the package or the API, and bring that package into your local system. And then the next step is create the scheduler. And before you enable the scheduler, make sure you create the target table. Right? In the scheduler, all what we need to do is use that package and define the target and define when the scheduler has to be run. Right? So once you set up all this and run it, so your data will come and sit in your the database. Yeah, so that's pretty simple. So this will work for all other applications. So that way we don't have to opt other third-party tools and paying so much of dollars in on yearly basis. So this is our data, and yes, the technologies we need. One, we need either C Sharp, Node.json, and then the Windows scheduler is, I think, pretty straightforward and little bit the SQL knowledge. Another key point is you need to have that admin privileges to enable the scheduler or the create the table in the database. Yeah. So if you have all these things, you can good to start. And now let's talk about the impact of digital transformation in nonprofits. Right? If you see the leading organizations successfully adapted the AI and cloud-based solution for donor management is 78 point, which is really the good number. And efficiency improvement, yeah, so greater productivity through automated workflow and digital tools, we see around 56.2%. And overhead reductions, it's close to 43.8%. Engagement boost is 67.4, and the API integration, right? If you see the API integration, that's where we are almost 62.7%. And cloud infrastructures, yes, I would say it's 45.5%. AI-driven analytics, revolution, donor relationship, right? Donor retention or annual donations, predictions and accuracy, machine learning models. So all this will help us to all that AI-driven analytics for donor management system. A little bit on the architecture level, like now it's a high volume data processing, right? It's because based on the data what we were using, right? Our robust infrastructure handles for almost 4.7 TB of donor monthly and enabling real-time decisions making across all the platform. And enterprise media intelligence, it's industry leading. If you see, it's close 99.9%, which is pretty high, right? Up to while processing 1.2 million daily media mentions, ensuring comprehensive brand monitoring. And there is a comprehensive social analytics, the advanced processing 2.3 millions cross-platform social interaction, delivering actionable engagement insights. Performance marketing analytics, multi-cloud redundancy, advanced security framework. Yeah, this all will consider as our system architecture overview. Would like to spend little time on AWS Lambda infrastructure performance. I do see the Lambda performance also really good, right? The enterprise grade reliability is 99.995%, and lightning fast response is 95%. Scalable performance is really good. Dramatic cost saving, I do see really good number over there. The advanced serverless architecture, leveraging AWS Lambda event-driven compute model. It's dynamically allocating up to 10 GB memory and executing functions with almost 99.9% availability across multiple global regions. And scalable performance, multi-region resilience. Yeah, so all this is considered as AWS Lambda infrastructure performance. So then let's talk about AI powered donor analytics platform. It's a 360 degrees donor view processing, as I mentioned, like no 4.2 TB of donors information daily, equivalent to 2.1 million donor profiles, which is pretty high. Predictive analytics engine, yes, it is analyzing 3.2 million donor behavior patterns daily with 94% accuracy. Like 94 accuracy is really, it's a good percentage. The advanced research infrastructure executing 234K complex queries daily with a lightning fast 98 ms response time. Assemble neural networks with 96.5 predictive accuracy across diverse donor segments. So real-time data processing. Yeah, so this enterprise-grade platform harness cutting-edge AI and distributed computing technology to transform non-profit operations by processing over 8.7 million donor interaction monthly across 2,345 organizations. And now, if you're looking at a 360-degree donor review system, this is really impactful for any organizations when you have the 360-degree donor view, exactly the donor, right? Where he is, how much healthy he is, how much he is donating, where else he is donating, and all that information, right? The instant social intelligence and the precision ad optimization, a data-driven reliability. Yeah, so these all will help us, to know better about your donor. And the more we know about the donor, the more we can get the funds from the donors. And some predictive analytics engines, right? Advanced data processing, intelligent ad integrations, dynamic donor profiling, assembling machine learning architecture, real-time data processing. So if we consider all these things, this really help us to have that really good predictive analytics engine established in our organizations, right? Advanced search infrastructure. So this is the nowadays. This really helps us a lot to understand more, right? The lightning fast processing, human understanding, robust ad intelligence, elastic search scalability, right? So this will really help us advance such infrastructure. Digital analytics and API ecosystem, the core platforms, like there are like one systems we can talk about, the core platform components, implementation architecture, operational consideration, RESTful API integration, scalability framework, compliance and security layer, and performance telemetry. The conclusion, transformative potential, right? Our revolution digital analytics framework has already demonstrated extraordinary impact with participating nonprofits seeing an average 47% of increase in donor engagement, and 42% improvement in retention rate by seamlessly integrating AI-driven analytics across multiple platforms and processing over 8.7 million monthly donor infrastructure. So we are empowering organizations to transform data into meaningful relationship and measurable results. Yeah. So with that, so establishing this API ecosystem to bring the multiple social platform data into your database now without relying on the third party tools. It's really helped. One, you can do a lot of cost saving, and two, it's your data. You are owning your data and you are understanding the data, and three, you can do really good analytics out of it. Thank you so much for your time. Hope you have something useful for your organization today. Thank you so much.